So yeah, today we are going to continue a little bit with modal verbs, and we are actually going to finish up with it because yeah, we have uh, started this for 2 classes, and I think that we today can wrap up with everything that we've talked about so far. Today we are going to be working on the book and not on my slides because yeah, focusing on the book also is going to give us a little more information about these modal verbs, and also we are going to learn a few vocabulary words that are going to be important in order to use modal verbs, especially for probability. So up to this point, we have been working on modal verbs based on the extra material that I prepared. But tonight we are going to focus on the book and everything that we have there. So let me open my book. This is something that I forgot to do before the class. So let me just open it. And of course, you can be following the class also with your books because you know we're working on that. So we studied modal verbs, like all of them, and we focused on the modal verbs for obligation and for probability. So we are going to continue in that fashion because like those are the most common ways in which we use them. So yeah, we're going to continue working on that. Just so you remember, we are working on Unit 5. And here, yeah, we were talking in the first lesson, we were talking about suggestions. And for suggestions, we only have should and could. Remember that you can ask questions with should, like what should I do, who should I call, etc. And then you can give advice with could in the affirmative form, and you can give negative advice with shouldn't, should plus not. We've already had a look at the vocabulary here, so yeah, that's something that remains the same. So since we've already worked on this, we are going to move on to lesson 2. In lesson 2, we also have some technology-related vocabulary, and yeah. So let's have a listen to the vocabulary. Let's listen to it, and then we'll talk about it.
Listen. Hardware.
A screen. A monitor. A microphone. Headphones. A speaker. A webcam. A hard drive. A keyboard. A mouse.
Now let's listen and repeat, just so you get familiar with the sounds. Let's do that.
Technology issues.
The screen is frozen. The sound isn't working. I can't make a video call. My computer keeps crashing. I can't get online.
Now listen and repeat.
A screen. A monitor. A microphone. Headphones. A speaker. A webcam. A hard drive. A keyboard. A mouse.
All right, so again, we are on the topic of technology issues. So yeah, this is vocabulary related to technology. We have some vocabulary related to naming the things that we can have in near the computer, especially, and also here the red ones are problems that you may have with technology. So the typical one, the problem that we always have is that the screen is frozen. That means that it's not working anymore. You cannot change the tab, for example, so you can click, but it wouldn't answer. The screen is frozen, it doesn't move. Then we have another problem, which is the sound isn't working, related to the speakers. I can't make a video call. It may be related to the webcam, or sometimes it could be related to the internet connection. And then we have my computer keeps crashing. And well, yeah. Now that is a little different from the screen is frozen. When the screen is frozen, it's just you can't click on anything because it doesn't move. It's not that complicated. Like after a few seconds or minutes, the screen is going to be all right again. But when you say my computer keeps crashing, it's a little bit more complicated. Does anybody remember that we talked about this a few classes ago? So what does my computer keeps crashing mean? What is that about?
More than it doesn't work because some problems on it, maybe the operating system or maybe hardware, and the other, and in this case, is the screen is frozen. Is something by the operating system that you can get the solution just with the restart.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you very much, Helmut. So yeah, I think you were the one that pointed this out last class, and it's true. So when the computer keeps crashing, it may be something more serious. It's actually more serious, and it's related to different parts of the machine in this case. So if it keeps crashing, it's like it stops working, and it's difficult to recover from that. So for example, I had a friend who had a laptop that kept crashing, and sometimes we were using the laptop, and out of the blue, the computer or the laptop would turn off, for example. And yeah, so we had to restart it, and everything was lost. So it was like a serious problem. So yeah, it's not the only problem that can happen when it keeps crashing, but it's something more serious. Like it doesn't work for real. And yeah, that would be the difference between a frozen screen and a crashed computer. And finally, we have I can't get online, sorry, which may be related to the Wi-Fi signal, sorry. The Wi-Fi or the interconnection, the modem sometimes. So yeah, it's something related with the internet signal. And then again, we have some things that we can use to name the objects that we use when we are related to a computer. So we have the screen. The monitor is the whole thing. The screen is only this part where we see the images, but the monitor is the whole machine. The microphone, which I don't have, I just have my headphones with the microphone here. Yeah, and then we have the headphones and the speaker, which is something bigger. The camera with that, the hard drive. What is the hard drive? Does anybody know? The hard drive.
The hard drive is the unit where you store the information, but the hard drive ya no se usa.
It's not used anymore?
It's not used anymore. Now you have a SSD unit. There's the hard drive. Yeah, there is no in use right now.
Oh my gosh! All right.
I'm not according with my
You don't
friend.
agree?
Yes, because we have an SSD hard drive. The new ones are on SSD, so it's faster. You have an USB 3 to period 0, and it works very good.
Oh, all right. So look, what we have now is more technology, but based on the old
Okay, yeah,
technology.
right. Yeah, right. Because before you just use a mechanic hard drive, but the concept is that you can put it, for example, an M2 or electronic memories that is integrated in a hard drive. So the technology is advanced, and you can use it as a vertical or external hard drive.
Oh, all right. Well, that's something new. I wasn't familiar with this topic so much. I thought the hard drive was still the same. Yeah, so thank you guys for sharing that. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I guess that's yeah, those of us who don't speak about technology like with very specific words, we can still be using hard drive referring to the same thing. And I guess it works for most of us. But yeah, those of you who are more experts in technology or who work with technology a lot may see the difference. But it's kind of weird how things change so fast related to technology. Because this book is not so old. It's from 2020, I guess, 2021. So it should be very updated, but now we see that it's not apparently. So yeah, that's something cool to learn about technology. Thank you, guys. Yeah, then so we have the hard drive, and usually when your computer keeps crashing, it's related to the hard drive because it's a more serious problem. Yeah, then we have finally a keyboard where is that is where you type your words, and then we have the mouse, like the classic one, right? So yeah, that's technology related vocabulary. Again, I think it's very useful because even if we don't like technology, which it may be weird, we are still going to use these words because we are working with technology all day. Not only working, but also living with technology. Like, even if you don't work with a computer, you may have to do something with technology, similar technology anyway. So yeah, I think it's very useful vocabulary. And it's also quite basic. It's not very specific. So yeah, I would recommend paying attention to this vocabulary, especially when you take online classes, because when we take online classes, we use these words a lot. So yeah, it's a good idea to keep it in mind. Now let's go to the grammar points. I like these grammar points a lot because it's a little confusing. And I don't like it just because it's a little confusing, but I like it because it shows how different English is from Spanish. So yeah, we're going to look at very specific words to notice the difference between these two languages, and also to express yeah, the difference between one probability and another one. So yeah, it's kind of related. Let's have a look. We are going to focus this time on will, may, and might, these three. In the previous classes, we didn't talk about will as a modal verb to talk about possibility or probability, but this time we will include it just because of something I'm going to explain later. I have this word here to express likelihood. Does anybody know what likelihood means? It's a very weird word. It's not common. Likelihood, anybody? Nobody has any idea? It's related to the word likely. Likely. For example, I can say, she's likely to like that t-shirt, for example, or that shirt.
It's like probably. It's
Uh-huh.
like a similar meaning. Could be.
Yes. Yeah, very good.
Could
Thank
be.
you, Juan. Yes.
Could be likely.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so likely means the same as probably. She's likely to like that shirt, so she probably will like the shirt. So the use is a little different, but the meaning is the same. Likely, it's probable. And yeah, so we are going to talk about likelihood. So in this case, likelihood is the same as probability, right? So we are talking about things that can be probably true in the future. That's the idea, right? And we are going to be adding some more specific words in order to focus on this topic. So let me get my tool, and we have the following thing. We use will to talk about something that is certain to be true in the future. All right, so here we are talking about probability for the future, not for the present, not for the past. Focus on that because, yeah, it's like making predictions, but predictions with some kind of evidence, if you wish. Right, so something that may be certain to be true in the future. That's why I'm talking about the word evidence here, because it's certain to be true. Like, yeah, we are almost sure that this is so in the future. We are going to use may or might when we are unsure of something, right? Unsure of something. So that is the first difference, sorry, between will and may or might. So will, it's like the most certain here, like it would be in the first place. When you are very sure, but you are very certain about something, you are going to use will. But when you're not so sure, you're going to use may, and when you are the least sure, you're going to use might. That's the thing here, all right? So again, we are talking about degrees of likelihood, degrees of probability that something may be true in the future. So if you're very sure, you're going to start by will. It will solve the problem. Juan Carlos, tell us before we continue.
Thank you, teacher. Good night, everyone.
Hi.
In the Spanish vocabulary, we have the three forms of the verb: indicative, subjunctive, and imperative mode. I am thinking about the may or might are the subjunctive form because it's a probability, but in Spanish also subjunctive mode reflects the wishes, wishes.
Yes.
In this case, may or might is to relate to the wishes.
Not really. It's not related to wishes. Not in this case when we're talking about likelihood. But in other contexts, it may be related to wishes or things that we expect that will happen. Yes. But when we are talking about likelihood, not really, because as I said, we are like predicting things for the future. So we need some kind of evidence instead of just a wish that we have for the future. Is it helpful?
Yes, teacher. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
It's ever helpful. Thank you, teacher.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that question also, because yeah, as I always tell my students, Spanish is so much more complicated than English. So we have these moods like the subjunctive, imperative, indicative, as Juan Carlos mentioned, and they are quite complicated in Spanish. But thankfully, we don't have the same problems in English, so it's not something that we need to worry about that much in English. We don't have, of course, the imperative mood and the indicative one, But yeah, it's not so complicated as in Spanish. So yeah, we are lucky in that sense. We're learning a language that is not so complicated in its grammar. Yeah, so in Spanish, it would be a little bit more difficult to differentiate between may and might because we don't have a verb that expresses each of the ideas. So yeah, that's a little complicated. Well, it depends on how we see these verbs and how familiar we are with them. So yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on them. All right, so as I was saying, when you are very sure that something will happen or will be true in the future, you have a lot of evidence, you can use will to talk about that. So it will solve the problem. Like, I'm very sure, I have the evidence, I have the experience, I have solved problems like this before, so I know this will help you. Or on the other hand, you can make it negative and say, well, it won't solve the problem. Again, if I say it, it's because I'm very sure, I'm very certain. Like, I have some evidence, I have thought about it, I have made some projects or whatever that helps me understand that this one will not solve the problem, right? So again, will being the most certain of all. Then when you are not so sure, you're in the middle, then you can use a may. It's perfectly possible. And in this case, when we're talking about likelihood, it is possible to use it either in the positive or negative form, affirmative or negative. So you may be connected to the internet, meaning like, well, I think, but I don't have so much of an evidence here. You may be connected to the internet. For example, let's imagine that you are going to the countryside this weekend or this holiday on Wednesday. And we're not so sure if the connection works so well there because, yeah, it's the countryside where they don't have a lot of internet there. So I say, well, it's the countryside, it's far from the city, you may be connected to the internet. I'm not so sure, I don't have so much evidence about it. So yeah, you may be connected to the internet. Like, you have 50% chance of being connected to the internet. That's all I can give you. Also, I can make it negative. You may not be connected to the internet. Like, I don't think that's possible, right? So again, I don't have so much evidence. It's just what I can gather from the experience that I have. So that also can be the difference between will and may. And finally, when you are least certain, you can use might. So again, you can use it in the affirmative and negative forms. The problem might not happen again in the negative form, might not, or the problem might happen again. All right, so we use might when we don't have so much of an evidence that this is going to be true in the future. All right, but I'm still making my prediction, just starting from what I have. So I can say the problem might happen again. Like, it's a serious problem, so I'm not so sure if it's solved. So yeah, it might happen again. Or we can say the problem might not happen again. I don't have so much of an evidence, but I think but the solution that I gave you might work. So yeah, that might not happen again. All right, so again, these examples are related to technology, but they can be used for anything to express likelihood in the future. Let's go back to my example that I gave you last class, so you may see that this is not so related only to technology. It can be related to everything. So for example, we talked about this last week. My sister is late. I wonder what happened. So you can start giving me options. So for example, you can say she will be here any minute. don't worry. So if you are very sure that she won't take long to come back, you can say, oh, she'll be here any minute. Don't worry. She's always very punctual. So she may be on her way. I'm very sure that she will be here any minute. What can be my evidence here? Like, I know she's a punctual person. I know she doesn't like going to other places before coming home. So she's always home at this time. So I have all that evidence and I can say, she'll be here any minute. Like, yeah, I know this always happens. If you're not so sure, you can say she may be running late because of traffic. So in this case, running late doesn't mean running like the actual meaning. Running late is like be late. This is another way of saying be late. So she may be running late, debe estar atrasada because of traffic. I'm not so sure, but I know that at this time, everybody is going back home. So the traffic is quite complicated. So she may be stuck in traffic. It's possible. I don't have much of an evidence. I haven't talked to her, but I know that traffic at this time is kind of crazy. So that may be the reason. And finally, if you are not very sure, you're almost creating an excuse here. You can say she might be helping somebody, for example. How can we know if she's helping somebody if we haven't talked to this person? We have no idea, really. So yeah, we can say she might be helping somebody just because I think it's a possible situation, but I have no evidence whatsoever. Like, I can't be sure, I can't be certain about this. This is just my hypothesis out of the blue, really. All right, so when you use might, it's because you are not sure at all. Yeah, Juan Carlos, tell us.
Thank you, teacher.
Mhm.
Are there a degree between the may word and my word, teacher? Or we can use in an indistinct way?
No, there is a degree. Yeah, so when you use may, you may be like 40% sure that this is true. Like I have some kind of evidence. It's not just out of the blue. Whereas when you are using might, you are like in 25% sure or less, even less. Like we have no evidence. So yeah, it is important in the meaning, whether you use may or might. They are not the same. So they are not interchangeable. Yep.
Sorry,
Okay, thank you,
what do
teacher.
you mean out of the blue?
Out of the blue. Oh, yes, that's an expression.
Or I didn't.
Out of the blue. Does anybody know what out of the blue means? Are you familiar with the concept? It's an idiom.
Only I know when you say I'm blue, it's when you're sad, but
You're sad.
out of the blue, I don't know what it means.
Yeah. So out of the blue means out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. I don't know if that's helping, but yeah, out of the blue is like out of nowhere in the sense that I took it from no source at all. Like it just came from my imagination and that's it. Let me think of a good way to translate
Like
this.
suddenly appear in your head, something like that.
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh yeah, out of the blue. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I know what you mean now. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. So yeah, if you think about it, like each of the words, it doesn't mean anything. Yeah, because yeah, the blue. What is the blue? That's why, because out of nowhere, like we cannot think what the blue is. So it just came up, but we have no evidence for that out of nowhere. I don't know if we have something similar in Spanish. I was thinking.
Out of the blue, but it's not the what do you when you say it, it's not about a color, isn't it? It's
No.
not the blue color. It's so the it's not the word blue color. It's other word, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, it's
It's
like a metaphor of to say like out of nowhere. Yes.
Like teacher, like unexpected.
Yes, something very unexpected. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Thank you, Sharon. So yeah, it's something unexpected, something that we don't know where it comes from. It comes from nowhere. Yep. Still, I was thinking if we have something similar in Spanish. I can't think of something. Yeah, we use in Spanish de la nada. Maybe that's the one.
sí,
Yeah,
de la nada.
de la nada. Yes. So when I say out of the blue related to the last example, like she might be helping somebody, I have no evidence. I came up without an idea out of the blue, like from nowhere. I have no evidence. I haven't talked to her. I don't know her so much. I don't know. How could I know if she's helping somebody? So yeah, I got the idea out of the blue. I have no evidence there. It's something that is not based on anything that I know. So yeah, that's what I mean by out of the blue. And when we use might, not always, but almost always, we get the information out of the blue. Like, yeah, the idea came up and I said it, but I have no evidence about it. I'm not sure that that is the truth. So yeah, again, also we can use the same example. For example, she will be here any minute. I could say she may be here any minute. Like I'm not so sure, but or she might be here any minute. Like if I say she might be here any minute, it's because I have no idea. I'm just saying it because I think there's still a chance. Yeah, so it always depends. The meaning always depends on the modal verb that you're using. It's important. In English, it's important. So in Spanish, we don't have much of a difference between may and might, but in English, it's quite a thing. It's very important. So I wanted to give you these examples to help you remember that it can be about any situations that you can use this modal verbs. It's not just related to technology, but you can make predictions for the future, or you can talk about likelihood in the future about almost anything. All right, so yeah, it's not so complicated to use these verbs, I guess. Let me clear my board. It's not so complicated, but we need to keep in mind the difference between these three in order not to make mistakes. Also, I wanted to see the notes because the notes are a little bit more complicated, just in the sense that we can use more words to express likelihood. So yeah, these words may be a little confusing. We are going to talk about them closely. Let me make more room here so I can write if there's any need. Okay, so we are going to use will with most or very likely. So what does most or very here mean? Most likely or very likely. So you can use the word likely plus most or plus very. Let me write most likely or very likely. Very likely. Right, so yeah, we can use those expressions. So use will plus most likely or very likely, or will probably. That's another reason. Well, let me write the whole thing so we can compare. Will most likely, will very likely, will probably. Those are the three options that we have, and we use them to talk about something that is expected to be true. Like, we kind of know that this is going to be true because we have some evidence about it, yeah? And if I'm using most likely, very likely, it's because I'm making an emphasis here. because I know that there are big chances that this is going to be true. For example, that will most likely solve the problem. So if I say, let me write it here, that will solve the problem, I'm saying that I'm pretty sure that this will solve the problem. Like, yeah, I'm certain. But if I add this to the same sentence, I add some emphasis by using the words most likely, that will most likely solve the problem. It's like we are making an emphasis, if you wish, here. And that's what we are working on, making the emphasis that, yeah, I'm pretty sure that this is going to happen. So does it change? Like if here you are an 90% sure that this is going to happen, that if I use most, oh my gosh, there it was. What does it mean that if you use most likely you are 100% sure? Not really. You're still 90% sure or 99% sure if you wish. But what you're doing is just giving more emphasis to the idea that you truly believe that this will solve the problem. Like you have a lot of evidence, you have tried this before, so you are very, very sure that this will solve the problem, right? So yeah, that's the thing that we need to keep in mind, that I'm like adding emphasis to how certain I am about something. Let me write it here. So we use it to add emphasis to the idea that I'm very certain that this is true. It's not just an idea that I have in my mind. Like I'm most certain. Also, you can use it like that. I'm most certain that this is true. Yeah, and then likely with very also works the same way. So that will very likely solve the problem also works like that, and it means the same. You're adding emphasis to the idea. What else? We can have that won't likely solve the problem. So you can not only use it for the affirmative words or the affirmative sentences, sorry, but you can also use it for the negative forms. Like you're not always trying to say something in an affirmative way. It can be also about the negative. So that won't likely solve the problem. I'm sorry. Like I'm pretty sure that it won't solve the problem just because I'm using in the negative form. And finally, we have that likely won't solve the problem, meaning that we are not completely sure that we have found a solution that likely won't solve the problem. We are pretty sure that we haven't found the solution for this. Right? So yeah, it works in the affirmative way and it works in the negative form. And also you can use it with probably. So it's not only with likely, but also with probable. So we can say that will probably solve the problem. And this is something that you may already know. Like it's very common to use probably in English. So that would probably solve the problem, or that probably won't solve the problem. Again, you are very sure about something. Whether it's affirmative or negative, you are very sure. That doesn't change. Now, there's some people in English that pronounce that word. I'm just going to mention it in case you hear it. Instead of saying probably, they say probably. So yeah, you are very likely to hear a native speaker saying that that'll probably solve the problem. That'll probably, and yeah, they make it very short. So sometimes you're not going to be able to hear them saying probably, because yeah, people nowadays tend not to say probably, they just say probably. Yeah, that's regarding to pronunciation. Yeah, so again, you can use these words to add some emphasis on how sure you are about something being true in the future. So if you want to add emphasis to the idea that you are sure about something in the future, then you will probably have noticed that we use it only with will. Right, so that's also important to keep in mind. We won't use it with may or might because yeah, when we are using may or might, we are not sure, so there's no need to make an emphasis on that. It's only for will. Then we have the second note, and we have that we use will definitely to talk about something that is going to happen for sure. Like you have a lot of evidence that this is going to be true. So we will definitely be there tomorrow, or we definitely won't be there tomorrow. We can work in the affirmative or negative form. So again, we can use the same example. Instead of saying that we will solve the problem, let me copy everything instead. If I say that we'll definitely solve the problem, it's because I'm 99% sure that this is the case. That will definitely solve the problem. I'm pretty sure, like, I know this is completely probable in the future. I have a lot of evidence for this to be true. So yeah, again, there will be a difference between using definitely, probable, probably, and likely. So yeah, careful with those words because they add a lot of emphasis to your sentences. Helmut, tell us.
Teacher, the last case could be the same as going to.
So that's definitely going to solve the problem, something like that.
It's going to solve the problem.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
what's the difference about this?
Yeah. I'm kind of thinking of a context where I can use that's going to solve the problem. Yeah, it's very similar because when you use going to, you are more sure that something is going to happen. So yeah, it's very similar. But again, you can add some emphasis to this though. So that's definitely going to solve the problem. It is also to make it even more clear that you are sure about it. So yeah, I would say that will definitely and going to are very similar. Good. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah, any other question or comment here? I'm hoping this is not too confusing.
Teacher, is the same use probably, likely, after or before that will, won't?
No, it's not the same. Yeah, thank you very much, Clau, for that question because it's not the same. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Let me just write this one. Slightly, well, probably. Am I missing anything? I don't think so. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Clau, for that question because yeah, it's not the same whether we use one or the other. If you the way you see them written down on the examples is the way you can use them. Like you cannot change the position of these words. It doesn't really make sense. So yeah, careful with that. So when we use it in the negative form, in the case of probably, for example, if we use it in the affirmative form, let's start by the affirmative, we are going to use will first and then probably. But if you use it in the negative form, it's mandatory to use probably first and then won't. So yeah, they are very strict on that rule. If it's negative, won't goes after probably. If it's affirmative, will goes before probably. Then when we have a won't likely, like the negative form, with likely, it's kind of the same whether you use it in front or after. So that won't likely solve the problem or that likely won't solve the problem. So with likely, there's no problem with the negative form. You can use it before or after, and it doesn't make sense. Sorry, it doesn't make any difference. Whereas with probably, it does make a difference. It sounds weird if you use won't before probably, for example. So yeah. And the same is going to happen with definitely. So if it's affirmative, will goes before definitely. But if it's negative, definitely goes before and won't goes after. So yeah, with those two, probably and definitely, it's very important to keep in mind the position of the words in the sentence. So yeah, thank you, Clau, for mentioning that. I hadn't said it. Good. Any other comment or question about this? All right, so let me put this in order because yeah, I think I'm not doing well, no. Like all of the rest, like will most likely, will be very likely, will probably, they are very similar. Like there's not much of a difference between those three. But when you use definitely, there's a big difference. Like when you use definitely, it's like you're very sure that something is gonna happen. So yeah, that's an important thing to keep in mind. Right, so what we are seeing here are just extra words that you can use in order to add emphasis to your prediction, if you wish. Yeah, and we can use it again for any context, like you can use it for technology, you can use it to talk about daily routines, whatever happens. This vocabulary is very useful. You are going to be very likely to use it when trying to talk about things that you think might be true in the future. So yeah, it's not something that is not useful, I would say. It's something that can upgrade our level. And especially it can help us understand people when they're speaking, especially native speakers. So now that we have covered this, we need to practice. So let's see what the book has to offer about it. So let me close this and let's go to the exercises on page 138. Let's go there and let's see what kind of exercises we have here. I would like to start with the listening one because as I told you, listening here, it's a very good skill to have, like to be very aware of. So let's complete the listening exercise. What's going to happen? You're going to listen and then you have to choose the correct answers. You have two options and you have to choose the correct one according to what you hear. What you heard.
Teacher, sorry.
Oh, yes, Rory.
Excuse me,
Just
teacher. What was the page? Number?
138.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yeah, no problem. Let me write it in case somebody missed it. It's going to be there, so yep, 138. Yeah, so again, let's just listen to the sentences and you have to choose between one or the other. We know already that the first one is will probably. So Anna will probably or will definitely be late, and we know that it says will probably. Let's listen to it. Let me check if I'm sharing my sound. Yes, I am. Good. So yeah, let's go. Let's listen.
1,
Oh no! You should leave. It's almost 5 o'clock. Traffic may be very bad.
2,
Let's go to the coffee shop. I think they have free Wi-Fi.
3,
These headphones are really old. I have to get some new ones.
4,
You should restart your computer. Maybe that will solve the issue.
5,
I think there's a problem with your hard drive. You should call tech support.
6,
I think I'm gonna cancel the presentation. I don't think we're ready yet.
7,
Do you have a webcam? You'll need it for our video call tomorrow.
8,
Is this the right password? It's not working.
All right. This is kind of a challenging exercise, I think, because you have to listen to the context or the conversations they are having. And then from the context, you need to identify which one they are using. So yeah, it's kind of a tricky one. Let's hear it once again without subtitles, just to check your answers, and then we'll listen. We'll check our answers. Let's go once again.
1,
Oh no! You should leave. It's almost 5 o'clock. Traffic may be very bad.
2,
Let's go to the coffee shop. I think they have free Wi-Fi.
3,
These headphones are really old. I have to get some new ones.
4,
You should restart your computer. Maybe that will solve the issue.
5,
I think there's a problem with your hard drive. You should call tech support.
6,
I think I'm gonna cancel the presentation. I don't think we're ready yet.
7,
Do you have a webcam? You'll need it for our video call tomorrow.
8,
Is this the right password? It's not working.
Alrighty, so we got it. Yeah, we are going to be checking each conversation or each part of the conversations, just to be checking on why it's one and not the other. So let me just go with this one.
1,
Let's listen.
Oh no! You should leave. It's almost 5 o'clock. Traffic may be very bad.
Yeah. So how do we know in the first one? This is a question for you guys. How do we know in the first one that it's will probably and not will definitely be late? What word in our sentence here tells us that it's probably and not definitely?
Might be very bad.
Yeah.
Traffic might be very bad.
Yes. Remember, this is may, not might.
Sorry, May.
May, yes. Yeah. Good. Thank you, Rodri. That's right. So just because we have may be very bad, we say will probably be late, because if it used another word, a stronger word, then we could be more sure about it. But the word may is not so strong. So yeah, it's not definitely late. It's probably, there's a chance, but yeah, it's not like 100% sure about it. Yes. Now let's go with the next one and see what's the deal here.
2,
Let's go to the coffee shop. I think they have free Wi-Fi.
Right, so let's go to the coffee shop. I think they have free Wi-Fi. Which one is the correct answer here? We have might or probably won't.
Might.
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 Yes.
Might.
Yeah, this is kind of easy because yeah, we have a negative form here, and in the sentence we don't have a negative thing here. So let's go to the coffee shop. I think they have free Wi-Fi. What tells us it's might, although it's I think. I'm not pretty sure. That's what I think, but I have no evidence. So they might have free Wi-Fi. Is what I think. I'm not sure. Right. So another way of saying might, it's by using I think. I'm not sure. Right. So yeah, they are very similar. So yeah, that's another way you can identify this might word. Let's go with the next one.
3,
These headphones are really old. I have to get some new ones.
All right. So we
Right.
have
Will.
we have will or may.
Will.
Will.
Will. How do we know it's will and not may?
It
Because
says
Headphones
I
are
have to.
really old.
Not really old. Yes.
I have
Yeah, we
to
have.
get.
Uh-huh. there you go. Yes. Both
Mhm.
of,
That's
of you.
like an order, like something that you have to do. You don't have
Yeah.
chance.
Uh-huh. There you go. Yes, definitely. Good. Yeah. Both of your answers are correct, guys. Like you're making emphasis on the really old, like, yeah, the really old. And also, I have to get some new ones. It's like my responsibility, my duty. Like, I want to.
Yeah.
No, it's not like I want to. It's like I really have to do it. Yeah. So it's like kind of an obligation, if you wish. Not very strong obligation, but an obligation still. So yeah. The first one was might, and then we have will. It's kind of, it's not just a chance, it's a real thing. Good. Let's go with the next one.
4,
You should restart your computer. Maybe that will solve the issue.
All right. So you should restart your computer. Maybe that will solve the issue. So which one is here?
Might fix.
Might.
Might fix.
Might fix.
Might.
How do we know?
Obvious.
It's obvious.
Because maybe, all right.
Because you should call tech support.
Maybe that will.
And that is because it's they know that there is a problem with the hard drive, but they are not so sure.
Not so sure. Yeah.
Because
all
the
right.
second part, maybe that
Yeah.
will solve the issue.
It's called maybe.
Yeah. Thank you, Scarlett. Yeah. It's because we have the word maybe.
I was in the number 5.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah, I was like, when is he going to realize that we are not talking about that?
Yeah, sorry.
Because the
it's
part
fine.
was obvious.
No, I was doing another thing.
We were missing that word, obvious. It's so obvious.
Obviously, yes. Sorry.
Number 4 is so obvious. We don't even need to talk about this.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, but it's because of the word maybe. Maybe, when we say maybe, we're not sure at all. Yeah, so yeah, that's a guess. Let's go with number 5, which I think is not so obvious. Let's see.
5,
I think there's a problem with your hard drive. You should call tech support.
All right, I think there's a problem with your hard drive. You should call tech support. So here we have there will or may be a
Will.
problem.
May.
Will.
I think may.
Will.
Will?
Chan, 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 chan.
Ooh. So what is it?
Both.
No. Not both. Definitely not both.
No?
You should call tech support.
What
Okay,
will?
okay. Okay,
He
okay,
says,
may.
I think
It's may.
think
May.
you have problem
May,
with your
right.
hard drive. He doesn't know.
Yeah.
He's not
Yes.
sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's, I think so. I'm not sure. And also because kind of the idea of calling tech support gives you the chance to think like, well, I'm not an expert. So I think it's that, but yeah, call an expert. Like I'm telling you what
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. The expert
me.
is the tech support. So yeah, it's definitely, it's obviously may.
Teacher,
Yes?
how do you say no me hagas caso?
No me hagas caso. How do you say that in English?
I don't know.
Oh, does anybody know?
I hope
Don't
you
care-
know, teacher, please.
Don't care to
I
me.
don't. Sorry, can you repeat?
Don't care to me. Something like that.
No, not quite. It's similar, but it's don't mind me.
Oh,
Good one.
Yes.
I'm gonna write.
Don't mind me. Like, also, sometimes people say never mind. So if you say something like you should call tech support, and people say like, say again, and you say, never mind, or don't mind me. No me hagas caso. Yeah. Good. Let's go now with number 6.
So may or will?
Oh, I didn't mention. Yeah,
No, I don't know.
may.
it's May. Yeah, because
Yes,
we are not.
winner.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah, because we're not so sure, and I'm saying, yeah, call an expert. I'm not the expert. It's just I think it may be that, but I'm not sure.
Rodri 1, Helmut 0.
So it wasn't so obvious then.
Obvious. I have good friends. I went my poor friend Rodrigo at least get 1 point.
He's giving you the chance, Rodri.
Okay. It's like penals.
Penalties.
Oh, penalties, yes.
Penalties, yes. Okay, we didn't know that we have a competition here. It's good to know.
Let's win.
Okay, let's see who's gonna win. Let's go with number 6.
Let him win. So
We'll see. You're competitive too, so I don't know. All right, let's go with number 6.
I think I'm gonna cancel the presentation. I don't think we're ready yet.
All right. So
Will
will
probably.
or will probably?
Probably.
Will probably. How do you know?
I don't know, I just guess.
Yes.
No, because she's not sure about finish the presentation. So
Yeah, she's not
she
ready
thinks
yet.
better to cancel it.
Yeah. All right. Do we have any other option for anybody?
But
Does anybody
no.
think it's will? Nobody
We're
thinks
probably right.
will probably.
Hmm?
Yeah, I will also go for will probably because she sounds very serious when she says, I don't think we're ready yet. And when you don't feel ready for something, like, yeah, you don't have many chances of completing that task. So yeah, even though here we have, I think, the word ready is like the one that gives us the idea that this is a serious issue. So yeah, I agree with you guys here. All right, and let's continue with number 7. Let's see what we've got here.
7,
Do you have a webcam? You'll need it for our video call tomorrow.
So,
Will.
what is it? Will or might?
Will.
Well,
Yep.
how are you
Yeah.
so sure, Helmut? Is it
Because
obvious?
you'll need
You need for tomorrow.
it for to
Yes. Yes, you'll need it. Yeah.
say
So
Helmut, not Rodri. Just kidding.
If you don't get one, you are gonna be castigated. How do you say?
castigated. Oh my gosh, Rodri.
What Spanish English is that? Punishment. Punish.
Yes.
Punishment. Okay.
You'll be punished.
Punished.
But I like castigated better. I'm going to start using
Castigated.
castigated.
The new word.
Castigated. Okay, so John and Kristen will have a video call soon. Yeah, you'll need it for tomorrow. It's pretty sure that they are going to have it tomorrow. So yeah, might is for when you are not so sure. So in this case, it's not suitable. It's not ready yet. Yeah, let's go with number 8.
8,
Is this the right password? It's not working.
All right. So is it may or will here?
Will.
Will.
Well, will.
Will.
Everybody agrees with will. How do
Yes.
we know?
Point for all of us.
About the degree, Will is more degree than me. And it doesn't, it's not working.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you guys sure? Because I don't agree with you.
8 people against 1.
It doesn't work like that.
According with the knowledge that you explain us, is will. But
will.
the sense is better than me.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, if we follow the rule, as Helmut said, if we follow the rule of the grammar box, it should be will, because we know that will is stronger. But in this case, it doesn't work. Just because of the context. If I say Selena will have the wrong password, it means like I'm making a prediction for that to happen in the future. And it doesn't really make sense. Like
May is
that's
correct.
gonna happen in the future. I'm not sure.
I changed my choice. May is correct.
Yeah.
Because maybe it isn't putting the correct numbers or something.
There.
Could be May is better.
Yeah. Yeah, but also because of the tense. Here it says it's not working. Like that situation is happening now. It's not working now.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of need something to talk about the present, not the future. Right? Because
So
Okay,
yeah,
did you
May.
convince me? You convinced me.
I convinced you?
Yeah.
Thankfully. I was very worried about it.
Okay, a point with you, or for you.
Thank you. I deserve it.
A
Yeah, so
tie. It was a tie.
just because of that reason, because if it's not working like right now in the present continuous, the action is in progress, may is more related to the present. Will is never related to the present, okay? Keep this in mind because in the grammar books, we were talking about predictions for the future, but remember that we can use may and might to talk about the present too. So please, oh please, always have a look at the context.
that was piece that was missing.
Yeah, that was the tip that was missing. Now it's complete. Now you know.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, so when you have these kind of exercises, especially on the exam, which is going to be soon, by the way, I think it's on the 10th of May, more or less. Yeah, so when you are having these kind of exercises on the exam, pay attention to the context. Like, are we talking about now? Like, is the action happening now? Or are we talking about something that will happen in the future? That makes the difference between choosing one or the other. Again, will is never related to the present. It's always related to the future. So if it's something happening now, it's may or might, no other. Yeah, so that was it with will and may and might. I recommend completing the rest of the exercises on this page. If you have some free time, I'm hoping that you do, because these exercises are very good, especially for interpreting information. When we are new to a topic, like in this case with modal verbs, I'm sure this is not completely new. I'm sure that you had studied this before, but there are some things that may be new. So in order for them not to be forgotten, you need to practice them and try to interpret information. I always tell my students that with modal verbs, we need a lot of interpretation. Like, I don't know, only need to know the theory, but I also need to learn how to understand the information that I'm given. So this second exercise, it's going to help you a lot with interpreting the information that you are reading. And also there's another exercise here, which is kind of interesting because also you need to interpret the information that they give you, and then you will be making the prediction about it. All right, so yeah, that is something that's going to help you a lot to check your understanding of this specific lesson. And yeah, I'm going to be sharing the answers, the answer key on LMS, so you can after you finish, you can go there and compare your answers to the ones that I have on the answer key and see how well you did it. So it's like testing yourself here. Okay, so please, oh please, whenever you have time, have a look at B and C on page 138 again. Now, before we head to the last part of the class, I need to go back and tell you that we still need to have a look at lesson 3. Right, so this is going to be again something to review because we have already talked about these modal verbs. It's not completely new. We talked about them when we were checking my presentation the other days. So it's just to figure out a few more things about them. This time we have some vocabulary. It's not related specifically only with technology, but it's related to preparing for a meeting or a gathering. So let's review the vocabulary just in case. We have the first one, which is send an invitation. Pretty easy. We don't have so many questions about this because yeah, send an invitation. Then we have write an agenda. An agenda, it's like writing some bullet points. Also, we call them. Let me write it here. Bullet points. Does anybody know what bullet points are? Any clue here? No idea.
That circle that
It's bullet points or bullet points, teacher?
Bullet.
Bullet.
Bullet. Yes. Bullet on its. Sorry.
The little point that they are next to the word at the left, on the left. Sorry.
Yes. There you go. Yeah.
Like a list. Like a list.
Yes, definitely. So I don't have bullet points right now, but I can make them like this. So for example, let me write this very silly, but it may help us to show what I want to say. So these little things here would be the bullets. We usually use a round thing, but I don't have the round thing here. I don't know if I have it on the board. Let me check just in case. Let's see if I can show you some bullet points here. Okay, apparently no.
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 Definitely no.
Definitely. Not only apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So sorry.
Yeah, me too. All right, so let me show you on my documents. I don't have any document open, but we can try. Let me just create something just to show you. It's not going to be anything. All right, so the bullet points would be these ones here. So again, B, C, D, etc. Yeah, so these little dots are the bullet points. I don't know if we have a word for that in Spanish. I don't remember. I never use a word for that in Spanish. But in English, we call them bullet points.
Viñetas.
Yeah. Viñetas?
Viñetas, yes.
Oh, that's new for me because I really never use that word related to bullet points. Yeah. Yeah, good. Thank you for telling me that. Viñetas. So yeah, viñetas would be bullet points. So let's go back. By the way, the word bullet, does anybody know what bullet means alone?
It's the bala.
Gun.
The gun.
Yeah.
It's the
Well, okay.
Yes, like
It's
an
necessary for the guns. It's
How can I
necessary
explain
for the guns. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree. Yeah. So bullet alone is just a bala, but yeah, when you have bullet points, it's viñetas. So yeah, it's the same word. And the pronunciation is bullet. Yes, this is one of the weird words in English that have the U sound for you. So yeah, it's kind of interesting.
The bullet train in Japan, for example, is bullet train.
Bullet. Yeah. Yes. Tren bala. Yes. Bullet.
Bullet train.
Yes, because the only word that we have like ballet, it's completely different. Ballet. Completely different. The other one is bullet. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so an agenda, writing an agenda, it's also referred to as write bullet points. That's what we usually say. Like, for example, myself, I never say I need to write my agenda. That's not something I say. It's just I need to write my bullet points. Or also, we have a very common word in English, which is bullet journal. I don't know if you've ever heard of this one. And it's like keeping a diary for very busy people who need to organize their days very thoroughly. So they have a bullet journal, meaning that they have a journal where they only write bullet points of things that they have to do every day. So that's a very common thing for organizing our own lives. So yeah, bullet journal also comes from those little points. Yeah, so you can reserve a meeting room. And what is another word for saying reserve? We don't use that word that much in English. Does anybody know another word for reserve? I don't have any near me. I would have shown you. I do have one.
How do you say lista numerada?
Lista numerada.
There
What
is
do you
no
mean?
bullet point. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I like.
All right.
Things
Yeah.
to do. At
We
least.
just call it bullet points.
Yes?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. Whether you're writing numbers, letters, just the little dots, it's bullet points. Yes. All right. So another word for saying reserve is this. How do you call this in English?
Barcode?
No, I mean this object. How is this object?
A book.
A book.
Yeah, book.
There you go. Yeah. So how do you say reserve in another word? Book.
Booking.
Right. So this is a
Booking.
book, but yeah, I can also book a room, for example.
Book. Mhm.
Yes, book a room. That's why we have this website. I think it's called booking.com.
Booking.
Ah,
A booking.
booking
Yeah.
room. Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
There you go. So it comes from making a reservation. So to book something is to make a reservation. I can book a book on the library too, if you wish. So yeah, it works. It's the same word, same pronunciation, same spelling, different meaning, right? So yeah. We don't normally use the word reserve in English. Reserve is very formal. Okay, so I don't recommend using this word because it's a little weird. I recommend using book. We use it all the time, book. Yes, so then we have another option, which is create a presentation. That is something we know. Arrange a video call. What does arrange mean? That's a difficult word in English.
The amphitryon can arrange a video call.
All right, there you go. And who is the amphitryon? Because the amphitryon doesn't exist in English. We have the host.
A host. I am like castigation.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a great course. Huh?
Yes, I'm very proud of my students.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so the
Host and
amphitryon will,
guest. Yeah, I remember. Okay. Host and
Yes.
guest.
yeah, the host and guest. Yeah, very good. So yeah, the host can arrange a video call. That means it's going to plan a video call. Yeah. Then we have order refreshments. I don't like these words either because it's not very common. It's very formal. Like we never speak like that in English, unless you are a very formal person, but yeah. Otherwise, refreshments sounds a little too much. In Spanish, we have the word refrigerio. I don't know if we use it. I don't
Yes.
really. Yeah,
Refrigerio.
refrigerio is common.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Refrigeria, al menos.
Okay. Okay. Well, not for me. I wouldn't say the word refrigerio. I know it exists, but yeah. Refreshments is the same as refrigerio, like small things you can eat. Then we have the word make photocopies or just copies, and check equipment, like check everything, sorry, is working. All right, so there we go with the vocabulary. Again, just a few words that may be useful sometimes. And notice that I'm using the word may be useful. Why am I using may? Because I'm not 100% sure. It always depends on the context. It always depends on what you use English for, etc. So yeah, it's up to you. But it may be very useful because yeah, there are some things that we can find the place where to use them. So yeah, recommend also paying attention to these words. Yeah, Helmut, tell us.
Teacher, I have a doubt about the reserve.
Yeah.
When you are, for example, you have a reservation in a hotel and you present there and tell the well the people that I have a reservation or I have a booking reserved. What's the word or the phrase that you can use?
Yeah, good. That is a very good question because book, it's only a verb. All right, so I have booked a room, it's perfectly correct. But I have a book, it doesn't work. So when you want to use the noun, it's reservation always. Yeah. So what I was trying to say here is that we don't use the the verb reserve. It's not common as a verb, but as a noun, it's perfectly common.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good. Yeah. So it will be I have a reservation or I have made a reservation. Perfectly correct. But the verb, not really. Good. Any other question, guys? Before
A booking reservation could be?
No, because it would be like repeating the same thing twice.
But I did it by booking.
Oh, okay. You are telling me that you're using the website.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, in that case, you would have to say, like, I've made a reservation by booking.
By booking. Okay.
By booking.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Good. Any other thing? Anyone? Alrighty. Yeah, so let's introduce the grammar points here, which will be finished later. So yeah, this is something that we've already checked. I don't think we have more questions about this. Let's just refresh a few things. When you are using need to or have to in the present form, in the present tense, then you have to conjugate the verb. So if you're talking about he, she, or it, you need to say has or needs with an S at the end. Whereas if you're talking about he, she, it, for the negative form, you are always going to use doesn't. My gosh, here it's working. All right, so doesn't. That's mandatory. When you're talking about I, you, we, and they, there are no changes on the verb from the affirmative sentences. I have to make copies. She has to make copies. That will be the difference. All right, so keep it in mind because it is important to conjugate the verb correctly. That would be the difference between all of the other modal verbs and have to and need to, because have to and need to are the only ones that need to be conjugated. What follows, it's the base form. You don't need to conjugate what follows, but have to and need to be conjugated. Or must be conjugated, if you want me to be stronger here. Yeah, that would be for the affirmative and negative forms. When you're asking questions, you can ask them in the normal fashion, like, do I have to be early? Like, is it necessary? Or do you need to go so early, for example? Does she need to work tomorrow? Does she have to do some more homework? Etc. All right, so the questions also remain the same. And with information questions or open-ended questions, it's the same. Like, what do we need to do? What do we need to bring? What do we need to study? Yeah, so it works the same. The deal with have to and need to is that they are more versatile. That means that they can be used in more contexts than the other ones, right? So yeah, it can be used for negatives, for questions, for affirmative questions, sorry, for affirmative sentences, for open-ended questions like this one. So it works for anything really. It also works with the past. So what is the past form of have to?
Had to.
Yes, had to. So if I want to talk about something or a responsibility that I had in the past, I would just say I had to. So I had to work yesterday, for example. Yeah. Saying that it was my responsibility and I did it. I had to work yesterday. What will be the future form of have to?
Will have.
There you go. So I would say I will have to work on Wednesday, for example. Yeah. So also it can work with any tense, and that is the main difference between may, might, should, could, can, will, would, etc. with have to and need to. Have to and need to can be conjugated in any tense, whereas the modal verbs don't have that chance, right? So that's an interesting thing. So whatever that cannot be said with must, with should, can be said with a had to, have to, or need to in the different tenses. So yeah, that's why I recommend paying attention to have to and need to, because they are very useful. So what would be the past form of need?
Sorry?
What would be the past form of need?
Needed.
Needed. It's a regular verb, so I needed to call my sister yesterday, for example. It's not my obligation, but it was something that I did because it was more like a necessity. And what would be the future form of need?
Will need.
There you go, the same idea. So I will need to work on Wednesday, meaning that it wasn't my plan, but I'm probably gonna have to do it because I didn't do something, for example, the previous days. So yeah, that's the important and the interesting thing about have to and need to. They can be conjugated in the past, present, and future. That's the difference between the other modal verbs and these ones. And yeah, that's like kind of a good thing that we can think about this. All right, so now what do we need to do is practice. We need a lot of practice in order not to forget about these modal verbs. Now, as I have asked you before, we are not going to see each other on Wednesday because it's a bank holiday or a holiday. So I don't want you to forget about everything that we've done so far. And I would like you to finish up some exercises. So let me ask you, I'm asking for your permission in this case. Let me write my question so we can have a little democracy in this class. Yeah, all right, let me save it and let me have you vote. Yeah, the system is very slow, right? Yes, so can I give you homework for Friday? I'm really asking for your permission for Friday. I always ask this because I know you are busy people. I know you have a lot of responsibilities, but I still want you to practice. So let's see what democracy says. Of course, it's not going to be a crazy homework, so don't worry.
Just 500 exercise.
Yes. Yes, right.
If it's a movie, could be.
A movie. A movie only using modal verbs.
Recommend us.
I will have to record it because it doesn't exist.
What about Duna 2?
I haven't watched it. I'm sorry.
No?
Not
And the
even.
one? The first one?
No.
Mm.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Yup. All right. This is very complicated. And we need to go, so. Look at this.
A tie.
All right, how do we say empate in English just before you leave?
Tie? It's not tie?
Yeah, it could be, or also even. Yes.
Even.
Even.
Like
Call it
impar?
even, or it's even. Sorry?
Like impar?
Yes. Yes.
Odd and even.
Even. Odd and even. Yes. All right, so you have homework for for Friday. I really needed this result because I was looking forward for some homework. Okay, what's going to be the homework? I'm going to share some exercises, a few exercises. I promise it's not going to be hard. One exercise that's going to be like a quiz, and another exercise that is going to be about watching a video. Okay, two things for Friday. I promise it won't take you like too much time, right? I'm gonna keep it easy here. Please try to watch the video before Friday because we're going to use that video on the class on Friday. So if you don't watch it, it's going to be very hard for me to teach the class. All right, anyways, thank you very much for being here. Sorry for taking 2 minutes out of your time, but yeah, I needed that. I will be seeing you again on Friday. And if you have any extra questions, stay with me. Otherwise, you may leave already. Thank you, guys.
Bye, teacher. Thank you.
Bye, Valeria.
Bye,
Sure, bye-bye.
Bye.